Good afternoon. Today we're here to talk about organic food. But before that, let's create a picture. It's New York City, sometime in the future. The city and the world are plagued by overpopulation and extreme food shortage. But your friends at the Soylent Corporation have good news for the hungry masses. Soylent Green. Now, granted, this movie is a far-fetched dystopian view of the future, starring Charlton Heston no less. But it makes me think. In a world where business is often about the bottom line, and that being just simply trying to turn a profit, and in a world where food is big business, what's in my food? What's in your food? Perhaps, like me and many others, you desire to eat a healthy diet that includes organic food. You're not alone. According to a research article by Catherine Barker in St. John's University Review of Business, organic food sales grew from about $1 billion in 1990 to $18 billion in 2006, all the way up to $30 billion in 2009. I love organic food, and I've given it a seat at my table for well over a decade. I love a cool glass of organic milk and some Oreo cookies. Yes, my diet has holes. And while I'm not an expert on organic foods, I like to eat. So I decided to learn about my food from some experts. What I found out may surprise you as it did me. Noting the increased demand for organic products as well as a lack of regulation, Congress passed the Organic Foods Production Act of 1990. This act required the U.S. Department of Agriculture, USDA, to develop standards for the production and labeling of organic products in order to protect consumers. With the extraordinary boom in organic sales, the ability of the National Organic Program to enforce these standards has come into question, along with the standards themselves. When you buy organic food, you may not be getting organic food, at least not as it ought to be. The ineffectiveness of the National Organic Program can be seen in the mass production of organic foods, the lack of accredited certifying agents, and the inability to supervise these certifying agents both at home and abroad. In allowing for the mass production of organic foods, the National Organic Program has allowed for the development of food that may be termed organic, but does not have the benefit and value that organic food ought to have. Much of this stems from the increased demand from organic food, which has given rise to the industrialization of organic agriculture. Many of these farms take shortcuts and cut corners when it comes to the health and well-being of the animals in order to maximize profits. As author Michael Pollan notes, the result is a greener factory farm, to be sure, but a factory nevertheless. Confined animal feeding operations are terrible, many times housing thousands of animals in a constrictive environments that, without the implementation of antibiotics, can become breeding grounds for disease. Pollan notes that whereas these animals ought to be on polycultures, growing a variety of species to provide a natural balance in the ecosystem, they instead often find themselves in a giant screened-in concrete porch. Mass production on these large farms also drives up the cost of production for the small farmer, and the little guy gets punished for doing things the right way. There's a need to meet a huge demand for organic food at reasonable prices, but these benefits can be accomplished by encouraging health and growth of small farms through subsidization. Ensuring the integrity of the term organic begins first with revamping the standards so that organic means organic. After fixing the broken standards of what may be called organic, there's also a need for the National Organic Program to hire and train an adequate number of accredited certifying agents. As noted earlier by Catherine Baker, sales of organic food shot up to $30 billion in 2009. And just 2 years earlier, it was reported that the number of organic producers was at 13,000, up from 2,700 in 1994. These increases, however, weren't matched by increases in certifying agents. And as of 2009, the National Organic Program reported only 55 domestic and 40 foreign certifying agents. If you do the math, that's one agent per 137 farms. Not nearly enough to manage the task of overseeing that many. The lack of agents has resulted in fraudulent labeling of organic products, compromising the integrity of the term organic. Even properly labeled products provide confusion, as registered dietitian Barbara Quinn documented in the article for the Miami County Herald. Here we have 100% organic, which means everything in it is organic. Organic, which means that 95% of the ingredients are certified organic. And made with organic ingredients, which means that at least 70% of the ingredients in there have to be certified as organic. Those are all terms in different categories for organic food. But if even a registered dietitian needs help figuring out what they mean, then the rest of us are in trouble. But that's with properly labeled food. Better labeling standards can help that issue, but there's a need for the NOP to hire more certifying agents to ensure that the label matches what's inside. As Barker notes, the extra agents would be necessary to perform unannounced inspections, critical to catching violators and holding them accountable. Hiring additional agents and providing support would shore up the program, but only as long as the National Organic Program made changes to improve supervision of these employees. Just as there are risks of fraud due to the lack of certifying agents, there's also such risks due to the inability of the USDA to supervise the agents. Matters surrounding the oversight of the certifying agents have been thoroughly researched by St. Mary's Professor of Law Xinglin Liu. According to Xinglin, the National Organic Program is required to have some sort of structure in place to provide accountability to the entire certification process. Someone has to be watching the watchmen. But Xinglin notes that proper safety measures had not been implemented, and the overall integrity of the program was at stake due to certifying agents operating without oversight or review. In addition to the lack of oversight domestically, there are also issues with foreign certifying agents. Again, Xinglin cites that there's failure to identify mislabeled products, there's the use of uncertified organic feed at certified operations, and a failure of some certifying agents to keep all proper records related to their certification activities. All of these issues bring in question the integrity of both foreign and domestic organic products, and there seems to be much work that needs to be done to rectify the process. With massive increase in organic food sales and the effects of globalization, the organic food industry has several problems to combat if they're going to offer anything more than just a more expensive product. Industrialization has been creeping in through the mass production of organic foods, while fraud and mislabeling continue to occur either due to too few certifying agents or the lack of supervision of those already employed. Huge profits continue to draw the giant farms, and the little family farms fight to stay alive. The USDA has work to do to protect consumers and the integrity of organic food. So where do we go from here? Well, I'm going back to Soylent Green. Soylent Green is people. I just ruined the movie for many of you, probably. But that's what the Soylent Corporation was feeding the hungry masses. People. Now, that's just a movie. And organic food isn't made from people. But that package you grab off the shelf might not be what it claims to be. Thank you.